Welcome to EMS Update 2024 in Studio 51. I'm Brian Shaw, your host for the next few minutes. And with me today, I have our esteemed colleagues from Conemaugh Medical Center and Conemaugh MedStar, Tom Causer, and Seth Forry. Yep. And I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, Tom Causer. I work with Conemaugh Trauma Services, been there for many years. My biggest part of my job is actually trying to find problems and then actually find solutions through collaboration with everyone. And one of the big things we have right now is that the number of deaths that happen in rural America is disproportionate to the urban areas, and we're looking at ways to try to improve that with it.
Okay, great. And Seth, thanks for joining us this morning.
Sure. Hi, my name's Seth Forry. I'm a light paramedic with Conemaugh MedStar and recently took on the role of Prehospital Operations Manager for Conemaugh Memorial Medical.
Well, great. And on behalf of EMS Update, we thank Conemaugh for being a supporter, one of our vendors, one of our neighbors here, and Somerset County is one of your primary service areas.
Yeah.
And thanks for taking the time out and telling us what's new at Conemaugh. What do you have going on?
Well, big thing for us, like I say, we always are trying to look for improvement. And if you look at that, 60% of all trauma deaths happen in 20% of the population, which is rural America. We need to change that. We need to fix that. And then, so we started looking at that very closely, and just through statistics through American College of Surgeons, they say that most of the deaths happen within that first 10 minutes, 50%. Then you look how many people die in the next hour or so, it goes up to 80% of those who are dead before they even get to the trauma center. So we need to look at it and say, what can we do to change that? And when you break it down even further, the number one killer is traumatic brain injury. So of course, the prevention stuff, so everything that we work collaboratively for helmets and seatbelts and stuff is working. The second reason is that they bleed to death. And if you look at those ones that break down even further, those ones that bleed to death, 50% of them could be saved if we just could stop the bleed. So with the Stop the Bleed project, huge, everyone's working. It is making a difference. I can tell you in our system, over a weekend, 3 or 4 patients come in with tourniquets on. Then we look at it, what can we do as the next step with it? And it's looking at, okay, how do you stop that bleeding internally? It's great if you can put a tourniquet, hemostatic dressing, but how about the bleeding it's internally? And it starts looking at the TXA, the DDABP, and now whole blood. So we're working diligently, collaborating with MedStar, saying if we get the whole blood into the patient early, that is part of your Stop the Bleed, because it has all the tools to try to stop that bleeding internally. And that's what we've been working on for the last years, and now has come to where we do have the blood in the helicopter ready to be used as part of our armament to stop the bleed and save the lives of those patients in that first hour.
Okay. And so you're carrying whole blood on the aircrafts.
Correct.
And so tell us a little bit about that program, the training involved with it, and what successes you're seeing.
So really, it was a collaborative effort between not only Conemaugh MedStar, but also the trauma service line at Conemaugh and our lab and blood bank. We were able to go live with this program on February 1st. Got all of our providers in service, had some training on it. We're looking to see how we can grow and expand that even further, maybe even include some of our ground ALS intercept units into carrying whole blood in the near future as well, which the new protocols that have come out kind of opened the door for us to be able to explore that a little bit more than we could in the past. So trying to figure out where we can best place that to get the most bang for our buck, if you will, and get the most patient uses from it.
Okay.
And hopefully get some more patient success.
And so what successes have you seen so far? I know it's a short time frame since February 1st.
It's been a short time frame. Again, the success is one, getting it out there. Number two, then even the understanding that what is it there for. So many times we approach people saying, hey, we carry whole blood, and they go, yeah, that's a great thing to have. When we ask the next question of why. Why is it a good thing to have? And I'll be honest, I have to throw some thank yous back to you guys, because the education you guys put on what's happening with the Stop the Bleed, and then even on this program this week with blood usage and such, is what we need to do next. And education to everyone, not only that there's a tool, but how to properly use a tool. Yeah. I know you've been a medic for a while. You know that a tool's only good as the person that's using it. You guys are helping us train those people. And on our side, we're doing everything we can to get that tool out into the area. The success story is that it's there for you. Use it wisely.
Yeah. And Seth, you mentioned about the new statewide protocols, ALS protocols, and the advancement that we were seeing in the whole blood. So it really is catching on, throughout the Commonwealth, and from hospital systems such as Conemaugh have really identified, like you said, to stop the bleed. What's the next phase of that? So we're super happy to see that. Not only that, I might be a Pittsburgh guy, but I have a place here in Somerset County. So that's one of my thoughts when I'm up here in the mountains in the wintertime, especially. What happens if I become sick or injured? Who's going to come to help me, and what are they going to bring with them? As we know, EMS in rural America is different than EMS in suburban
Absolutely.
America,
Absolutely.
and because of travel and transport times and availability.
And the key word you said there, what do they bring in with them?
Mm-hmm.
What services do you have with it? It's not the speed. It's when you get there, what is being done to actually reduce the time on scene, get that person back into a trauma center, and stop that death process
Mm-hmm.
with it. Whole blood is a great tool to stop that death process or extend the length of time that they have to be alive.
And I hate to date us back, Tom, but early in our careers, we probably didn't treat patients aggressive enough that were hemodynamically unstable. We used to say, not until they hit 90 systolic, were we doing anything?
Yeah.
Has that changed at all?
Oh, it has changed tremendously. Now we look at, more functional blood pressure. For one, if you ask my medical director, Dr. Russell Zumar, what's the most worthless vital sign, and he'll tell you blood pressure. He goes, please just tell me how they're doing. Just look at them, tell me, are they sick or not, and how they're doing with it. And you're absolutely right. At the beginning, and we all had that stay and play work, running gun and type of thing, all the different things that we lived through. And that we found is it is a combination of both that is going to be beneficial. And then what we're seeing now, having a very quick system that can get them into the hospital, into the operating room within an hour, but not so severely hypertensive, where it's not severely in shock, more importantly, because they got the products, they got the whole blood, they got the bleeding control. Never before would you ever think that, we're trained, if you have an injury in the chest and abdomen, best thing to do is run. Now we're saying, no, we're going to give you a tool to use that. And that's going to be the whole blood. It's going to help that clotting system inside the body, reduce the bleeding, and then give you that more time so you can get to the hospital.
And it's all about the time, right?
It's a time.
The quicker we get those trauma patients to the appropriate trauma center, the better the outcomes are going to be, right?
And our thing is, if you can get them there and they're alive, we'll keep them alive 97% of the time. If they show up, unfortunately, dead because they bled to death or something, severely or decompensated, we can't do anything. So we, in the chain of survival, the first link, the EMS system, that interaction there, that's the most crucial one. If we have a weak first link, the rest of the chain's going to fail. We have to work together. We are, and try to get the best ways to get that first link as strong as possible.
Yeah. Okay. And Seth, anything for our EMS providers they need to know about contacting, for Conemaugh Meds?
As Tom mentioned, part of the stop the bleed is speed. We've got to act quickly, and we got to get resources there as quickly as must. So as far as the helicopter goes, if you get a bad call that you think might, require blood or might require a trauma center, don't wait to get on scene to evaluate that patient. Put us on standby right away. Our policy is if the scene is greater than 15 nautical miles from our base, we will auto launch and start towards you. And if you don't need us, we'll turn around and go home. But if you do get on scene, realize that our resources are needed, we can just drop right in, land, and have a super fast time on scene to get that patient over back to the trauma center.
Yeah. Great advice for our EMS crews, our EMS providers out there. Once again, on behalf of EMS Update, we thank Conemaugh for being one of our vendors here this year. Once again, they're here every year. Local agency. I thank Tom, thanks Seth. Take a couple minutes to talk about your whole blood program at Conemaugh, and enjoy the rest of the conference here. Everybody, this is Brian Shaw signing off from EMS Update 2024.